Today we're gonna, this is all about seeds. So we've planting some onion seeds. It is February. It's time to get those started. And that's generally all I plant in February, maybe kohlrabi. And then I start in March planting some things such as the cabbages and broccoli and cauliflower and some of the lettuces. We buy almost exclusively from Johnny Seeds. It's in Maine. We're in Nova Scotia, so it's close. The service is great. They have a nice wide variety of vegetables that are non-GMO, hybrids, plus also regular ones. And I just find that their germination rate is beautiful. And if you have any issues, they're just so happy to help you through your trouble and to even replace some seeds if they are not working for you. But we just don't find germination to be a problem. One thing I will say when you're buying seeds is that there's a lot of seeds that do not store well. If you do store them, the temperature needs to be consistent. So consistently cold or consistently room temperature or consistently frozen. And here in Nova Scotia, it's very, very hot in the summer to save seeds. You know, sometimes this takes up a lot of space to keep boxes of seeds in the fridge or the freezer, and we just don't have the room for it. So rather than take a chance on saving seeds, I donate last year's seeds to my friends who have small gardens, and they just, you know, they're just happy to have them, and then I buy new seeds. So the first one we'll start with is the peas. This is one I don't buy. This is about 3 pounds here of Penelope peas that I save. They are a hybrid, but they are, when they germinate and come every year, they seem to be very, very similar to the original hybrid. And this is a variety is Penelope, and I'll save those. But for the sugar snap, I buy Johnny Sugar Snap. Now, these are direct seed, so I'll let you know what we do by transplant and what we do by direct seed. So peas are direct seed, and they can actually get planted quite early in the season in April. Another early one would be the beets, and we buy Zeppo. They are round red beets, and Boro, and those are also little round beets. I could grow yellow and white beets. Not that many people ask for it. I generally grow what people buy. I've bought all kinds of fancy varieties in the past because I thought they would be fun, but you just end up bringing them home. People want regular shelling peas. They want red beets. They want red radishes. You know, they want yellow potatoes and white potatoes. They don't want purple, and they don't want mottled and weird ones. They just want regular things. So that's a variety for beets that we use. Let's do eggplants. So I do eggplants, a couple of packages here. This one is called Gaudy, and I love Gaudy. So Gaudy is a beautiful, very big eggplant. I really, really love this one. Very easy to pick and very prolific. This would be, you would seed this in the house. The same with your peppers. I usually just do 3 kinds of peppers. I do a bell green, which is called King Arthur. I like that one. For a sweet red pepper, it's an elongated one, and it's Carmen. I really, really love Carmen. And for a jalapeno, it's Pantera is the one that I really, really liked last year. I used to buy another variety, but this one just is so much better. So I like those ones. For tomatoes, I just do 3 kinds. I do a Mountain Magic. This is a small slicing tomato. Looks lovely in a little quart box, and people buy them just so they can slice them up for sandwiches or just quarter them for eating. So Mountain Magic is a really nice small red slicing tomato. It's nice and firm. Then I do a red cherry tomato called Washington. Okay, and then I do a small yellow cherry tomato called Gold Nugget. I like both of these. Again, all tomatoes are started indoors. I like those varieties because they don't split when they're ripe. which is kind of hard to get to all of them. And then I really like my Roma tomatoes, which is Cipollina's Pride. And that's my favorite. And I only have 25 seeds here. That is more than enough to provide a few at the market and lots for me to make a pasta sauce with. So all of these, eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes, are started indoors and transplanted out after the last frost. So that's generally the end of May, early June. We like to plant a little bit of melons, and I like one called Sugar Cube. It's also, you start this indoors. And my cucumbers. I only grow 2 kinds of cucumbers. I do a mini cucumber for pickling. People love them for lunches, for kids, and I love to pickle them. And so the one I really have come to like the most is called Adam Gherkin. And for a slicing tomato, that is, it's not bitter, it's not too seedy, it has a nice amount of flesh on it. My favorite one is Diva. I've been buying this one for probably a decade, and I just really stick with it. These are all started inside. I do start my cucumbers as indoor plants, but as I'm planting them, I'll actually stick a seed in next to them, because probably half, maybe not half, but a third of your transplants might die. They're really, really sensitive to being handled, even if you really don't handle. they just die on you, so. Anyway, okay, broccoli and cauliflower. So broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages are all started in March, so I'll be doing that actually the next week or so. And my favorite type of broccoli is Arcadia. But I tried Amadeus last year from Johnny's, and I was actually really impressed with it. It was very much like Arcadia, really heat tolerant. So that one was good. And I do start these by seeds indoors. My favorite cauliflower, bar none, is Bishop. It's a beautiful, white one, and it's self-blanching. And yeah, they can get really big and really nice. They hold up in the heat. I do 3 kinds of cabbage. I do an early one called Tierra, and I love Tierra. And it's very, very tender. It makes wonderful coleslaws and fresh eating for salads, and just for pan frying. But a storage green cabbage, this one is Promise. Okay, Ruby Perfection is my favorite red one. They come in different, they can get really big, but generally they're a nice small size, which is great. Okay, I also do Hakurei turnips, and those will be direct seeded in the garden in the early spring, probably early April, I guess. They get seeded out, but they're direct seed only. Celery is in a class of its own, and I grow Tango, which is nice. It's a nice variety, and I will actually, this year I'm going to try leaving it in the greenhouse. We have a greenhouse. I'm going to do a section of that just with the celery. It seems to get black heart disease, and I've tried a variety of things to prevent it, and I end up losing about 1/3 of them to that. So anyway, I'm going to try the greenhouse and see if that doesn't work, but this one is Tango. Okay, beans, bush beans. Grow lots and lots and lots of beans here, and I just stick to the yellow and green, but I do a regular green, and I do a regular yellow, and I also do a French fillet green and a French fillet yellow. So for beans, the yellow, Goldilocks. Bamako is a little French fillet yellow one. Okay. Then for the green, the regular one is Maxabelle. Okay. And then Jade, I have lots of Jade. These are the French fillet ones. They're so tender and so good. And we grow generally 3 to 4 rows of beans. They're good sellers at the market, and they're just very, very nice. Spinach is direct seeded into the garden in the early spring. You can also self-seed this into your greenhouse if you like. We go through a lot, so I have about 10,000 seeds here. I like the smooth and I like the Savoy. That's a crinkly one. And for the Savoyed one, Hammerhead is my favorite. It really holds up well here. And for the smooth is Seaside. I've used that for a few years, and I've actually really grown to like it a lot, far better than other ones that I've had. So Hammerhead and Seaside, and these are direct seeded in the spring when the soil is cold but not frozen. Kale. I start my kale in the house and I grow 5 varieties, and I just grow a few of each, maybe 5 to 6 plants of each, and they can get fairly big, kale. So they produce all year long, right until the really hard frost. So they're for the whole entire market. So, and people love them. I'm not the biggest fan of kale, but these are the varieties that I start with. So Black Magic, it's that elongated leaf that's crinkly with a nice stem. People just love that one, so I like Black Magic. It's a good one. Then there is Star Boar and Red Boar. These are sort of a smooth-leaved kale. One has a red stem and one has a white stem. And then I like the Russians, the red and the white Russian, and those are the very curly ones. And I actually don't have a picture, so I stole one off the internet, and that picture is a Russian one, okay? Carrots. Carrots are the biggest sellers at the market, and it doesn't matter how many bunches you take, you won't bring any home. Every carrot that we grow is a Nantes, and I just do like early and mid-season and late season, so I usually try to get 3 varieties. These are the varieties that I used last year, and I was so pleased with how beautiful that they were that I got them all again. My storage carrot is Bolero, is the one I really like, and I usually do quite a few of those. Then the main crop one, so mid-season one, is Napoli. That's the main one. And then an early one, which I really love, they're super sweet, is called Orange Fancy, and that's a really nice Nantes. Okay, herbs. Herbs are all started inside. My favorite basil is the Genovese. I just want the basic, simplest herbs. They're not big sellers at the market, so these are more for personal use here. And then we do have people that come to the farm and buy herbs here, and they'll just go and pick what they want out of the garden. Dill, this is a new variety called Phalia that I'm trying this year. And I'm trying a new variety of Greek oregano called Greek oregano. And then my favorite parsley is the Giant of Italy. It doesn't overwinter here. I have to replant new plants every year, but they have nice big leaves and they really dry well. And I always have bottles of dried parsley. And for the parsley and for the oregano and dill, you can gather fresh leaves. You can put them in your food processor with a bit of olive oil, and then you can put them in nice, clean, sterile jars and freeze them. And then you can have sort of these fresh herbs in oil all winter long. And of course, with the basil, we make pesto, tons and tons of pesto. And I'll have a video this summer about how I make pesto. The next big crop, which we sell a lot of, is lettuces. One of my favorite lettuces is Lolos. So there's a red and there's a green Lolo. The green Lolo is called Elima, and the red one is Antoinette. I like endive. The endive that is my favorite is Benefine. It's bitter, but it has a beautiful white stem and a serrated green leaf, and it looks really pretty in the bag. So Benefine is my favorite endive. And we also do a radicchio, and those are also bitter. They kind of remind me a little bit of red cabbage, but they look really pretty in the bag, and it's nice to have a few little bits in there. So Bib lettuces are really nice too. I love the form of them, and I usually get a red one and a green one. And the red one is Roseanne, and the green one is called Newham. Okay. Then I have a red butter and a green butter, and they're just called red butter and green butter. And these are pelleted, which is nice. Then the romaines I have two kinds that I really like. One is a pomegranate crunch. It sort of has a bit of red on the leaf and it's more of a miniature. And then the green forest is my favorite romaine for growing here, and it's pretty big. It's a pretty nice big full one, and they do well. I think bar none, my very favorite lettuces to grow are the green sweet crisp and the red sweet crisp. They have very serrated leaves to them. The red ones are very red and the green are very green, and they hold up well in the bags in the heat at the market, and sometimes you can even put those on the top so that they don't mind the heat at all. So those are my favorites. So red sweet crisp and green sweet crisp are good ones. For a summer squash, we start all of these inside, okay, and they're transplanted out into mounds of very fertile patches with some nice composted manure and a few fertilizers out. So we'll do them probably 4 feet apart on a little raised, it's not raised much, maybe about that much, and it's a big round mound of a manure that's just gently worked in with a little bit of the necessary organic fertilizers, and they tend to do well. We'll lose 1 or 2 out of the whole patch, but the losses are not big. So my favorite patty pan, I call it a zucchini, but it is a summer squash. It's called Lemon Sun, and that's a really, really nice beauty. I like for a green and the green and the yellow zucchinis, I prefer the non-striped ones, so they're solid colored. And the green one, I have been buying the Dunja for probably a decade. I just don't vary from it at all. It's such a perfect zucchini. And Golden Glory is my yellow one, and it's been a real winner. Yeah, love it. For my specialty pumpkins, I do Cinderella. People love them. They're the flat ones. Well, there's a picture here. People love them to use for baking, and I always cut up a couple, get them in the freezer, and then I have pureed pumpkin for the winter to make muffins with or pies. So that's a Cinderella pumpkin. For a jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin, I like Racer. It can be small and you can get some big ones too. So it comes in a variety of sizes, and it's got very nice sturdy handles on it. So I like those. So for winter squash, I just grow 2 kinds. One is the butternut, and it's called Waldo. And so it's a nice size butternut squash. And for the buttercup, it's Bon. People have told me this is the best buttercup squash they've ever had, and I believe them. It's a really good one. Nice and not too dry, very rich color in it, and very prolific in the garden. Kohlrabies. I've already planted 2 trays of kohlrabies, and I'll plant 2 more trays of it, and the one I like the best is called Bees. And boy, is it a beauty at the market. It's all white. Okay, onions. So we planted all the onions, and I grow 5 or 6 kinds. I'm just going to tell you what varieties they are. The shallot is a creme brulee, and it's kind of a pink, so I really like it. Creme brulee is the shallot. For our red onions, I used to get red wing, and I just find that they don't get red in the center, so I like the Barolo. They're red all the way through. Barolo is my red one. I've only grown them once last year, and they were a real hit. My bunching onions are Yago, and I do Guardsman, so I have both of those. But this year I'm trying the Yago, and I think I did them last year, and I really liked them. Patterson is a real standard for yellow. Eclipse is my mini pearl one, and I let these ones get, about that big. I don't sell them when they're just a little tiny thing. I let them get a little bit big. They have a nice green stem. You put 4 or 5 of them together in a bunch and trim off the top, and they look stunning at the market, and people buy those right up. They're so sweet when they're young like that. And then for my white onion, it's Sierra Blanca. There's very few varieties of white onions available anyway, and Sierra Blanca is the only one I've ever seen at Johnny's and other seed companies. So, but it's a real good one. It's a real good one for here. We also grow chard, and I like the red chard. I'm trying a new one this year called Firebird. It's really, really red, but my staple is the Rhubarb Supreme. As the picture shows, I usually just take a handful of bunches every market and sell them there. Radishes, I only buy one kind of radishes, and I'm only doing probably 500 seeds of that, so probably one row or one good half row. Grover is my favorite, little round red radish. And last but not least is zinnias. We always plant zinnias in the garden, and we love the Benary Giants. And I have yellow, red, purple, pink, orange, and lime are my 5 colors. We also plant a lot of garlic, and although I don't have garlic seed here because it was planted last October, I do have photos. That is our biggest crop, is garlic, and we planted 7,000 garlic seeds in October, and we'll be harvesting them sort of mid-July, and then we cure them for 8 weeks, and then we sell them as, you know, for seed garlic and for kitchen eating garlic. So one other little thing to make yourself a really, really good gardener that I do is I have my own little binder here, and it's my garden notebook, and in it I have created a notebook, and it's 1 page per vegetable, everything that you need. So basically the 1 page is everything that I have learned about growing this plant here. So when I start it and how I start it, right? When I move it to the greenhouse so that it can get acclimated to the heat, the sun. When I harden it off, when things go outside to get acclimated to intense heat or wind or rain or cool. And when we transplant to the garden, and how we prep the soil, and the common pests for this and how I manage them, and when they can be harvested, and any other pertinent information. So I find that this little manual for growing, we're zone 5B, I think, here in Nova Scotia, and so this really, really can help. Another great thing to make yourself organized for your garden is to make yourself a little calendar, okay? And I put them on my fridge. So I just print off blank calendars, okay? And then I'll put the month, and then I'll just fill in the, you know, the 1 to 30 dates on them. And then I'll start filling in, but look at April, like there is something to do every day, mostly every single day in here, and sometimes several things a day to do. It's a busy farm. And this is how I keep myself organized, and every day I'll check just to make sure I don't forget to do something. That's what I do, so I can keep track of everything that I plant, and that I keep rotating stuff all the time. And I make a calendar of things to do, and I have my garden notebook. So I feel like I'm ready for the year. They've all been updated already this year. And many years ago, we invested quite a bit of money in buying these solid bottom trays. These are actually fairly good quality ones. They're kind of the heavy duty ones. I like them. And then little cell packs. I'm doing onions today, so I prefer either the 6 or the 9, and the 9 are hard to get, so I use the 6. So anyway, we're going to fill these with dirt. I'll show you what I do and plant this. We're going to do yellow, and I'm doing 5.5 trays of yellow. And what I do, professional growing media, okay? So I always buy a professional soil for cell packing. And then I simply just put these in, and I have a little nice little container, and I'll just pop it up and I'll spread it in. But you also want to push it in with your fingers so that the soil is flush with the top, okay? Right? So it's pretty hard,
okay? And I'll just keep doing these until this is full, okay? This soil is nice and moist. I took a bucket of water and I fill this up. We started yesterday. I fill this up and I put a bucket and a half of water in here, and I have a stir stick, and I just mix it in really well. And it's really much nicer to work with, and you're not breathing it in, the dust of it in. So. So to water, every time we water, which is going to be fairly often, although these are nice and moist, they still need a bit of water. That's going to dry out really quickly up here in this heated room. So I just have a designated plastic pitcher, and it's almost full. And I'll take one of these out, and I'll pour the water into the tray until this is empty. So it's usually one full container per tray to get started. Okay, then I'll tuck him up here where he belongs and go get the next tray.